their front pages.
Well, they've got another update from the front line of the campaign, of course. The last 3 days have been dominated by Nicolas Sarkozy tacking to the right to chase after Marine Le Pen's 18% of voters. Now, as Les Echos explains, François Hollande, the socialist candidate, tried to get his subjects, things he wants to talk about, back on the centre of the campaign yesterday, and that's the economy and unemployment. He said yesterday he wanted to stop massive layoffs and redundancies if he becomes president. A security firm, the second biggest security firm in France, announced yesterday they're going bust and laying off 5,000 people. That's the kind of thing he says he wants to stop if eventually elected, and he's got a number of other proposals to cut France's rising unemployment. Nicolas Sarkozy's been calling himself the president of real work over the last couple of days. François Hollande yesterday called him the president of real unemployment, saying it's soared under his reign, and that under Hollande he's going to create 500,000 jobs for young people where the employers won't have to pay charges for them, so that it will be cheaper to hire them, and hopefully then get them back into work. Now, for Les Echos, which is a business paper, this isn't quite good enough. They say both of the candidates have ignored just how severe the unemployment problem, how severe and how deeply ingrained the problem is in France's economy. And what he really needs is to create more flexible job contracts to make it easier to fire people, essentially, to encourage employers to hire them in the first place. L'Express, for its part, says that Sarkozy has been putting pressure on major companies, particularly those whose CEOs are close to him, to try and delay any layoffs that they might be making until after the election, so that they embarrass Sarkozy's successor rather than the president himself in the run-up to the campaign. But whether or not Hollande's policy of trying to stop those layoffs happening altogether would actually work, they're not quite so sure.
But unions are showing some appreciation, are they not, that Sarkozy has at least brought this issue of workers' rights to the fore?
Well, it's Hollande really that's brought the workers' rights to the fore, and the unions have indeed come out to support him. But now that he's said that, as Le Figaro puts on their front page, the CGT, one of France's biggest unions, has called on its workers to vote against Sarkozy. They say he's constantly attacked organised labour. Now, for Le Figaro's front page, that divides the unions. That's not really what it's done. Most of France's major unions have now called on their workers to back Hollande. Now, for Le Figaro, that proves that Hollande's enthralled to organised labour, that he's conservative with a small c, and that he won't give France's economy and its job market the reform that they say it so badly needs. Of course, for the left, they see it in a quite opposite way. The communist paper L'Humanité has profiled a number of workers who are suffering possible redundancy. They've been travelling around factories in France where people risk having their jobs outsourced abroad, and they say they're very glad that François Hollande says he's going to do something to stop that, although quite how he's going to stop major companies outsourcing their jobs abroad, there's a bit of a question mark over that.
Now, something we've been talking about the last couple of days is both the left-wing candidate and Nicolas Sarkozy trying to woo the far right, and that's not really made either of them too many friends, has it?
Well, certainly not Nicolas Sarkozy. Now, Libération today has got the headline, "Is Sarkozy compatible with the right?" Yesterday, their headline was a quote from him where he said Marine Le Pen was compatible with the French Republic. Now, they say that has made him a lot of enemies within his own camp, within his own UMP, because a number of his own MPs and his own cabinet ministers even think that he's gone far too far to the right, that he actually should be wooing centrist voters, those who supported François Bayrou, because they're a more flexible electorate, and that actually he's alienated a lot of people with this right-wing rhetoric.
And let's speak a little bit about the centrist candidate. He was knocked out in the first round, but he's never far from the front pages, is he, even now?
No, as I just said, he could still play a role of kingmaker, even though he scored less than 10% of the vote. So it was a big disappointment for him. He got 18% back in 2007. But as La Croix points out on its front page, he is now confronted with a dilemma. His economic policy is probably closer to Nicolas Sarkozy's. His supporters are probably more naturally conservative. But he's very against Sarkozy's anti-immigration, right-wing rhetoric. He was heard to say yesterday that Sarkozy was playing the Front National's game. And now he has said he will give his supporters a recommendation. He will decide which of Sarkozy or Hollande he officially backs. He's going to make that announcement, he says, on the 3rd of May, which is the day after the two of them face off in a TV debate. He's written them both a letter to ask them to answer a few questions about their economic policy, and whichever one that satisfies him the most, he says, he'll tell his supporters to back.
All right, so lots of anticipation still ahead of that runoff. Thank you very much indeed to you, Elena Casas. Let's get a quick check of our top stories here on France 24. A conviction for Pakistan.